Welcome back to you, our resident learner.
The one who always wants to know what's just beneath the surface.
Exactly. We are thrilled to have you riding shotgun for another deep dive. No fluff today. We are jumping straight into a fascinating and, frankly, deeply unsettling slice of source material.
It really is.
Today's mission takes us into the lower reaches of Dungeon Level 1 from the classic adventure module, Palace of the Silver Princess.
It is a foundational piece of environmental storytelling. But to truly appreciate the horror of what we're going to explore today, we can't just look at this as a map of imaginary subterranean rooms.
Right. We have to understand what was lost.
Exactly. We need to look at the baseline of this world before the disaster struck.
That is a great point. Let's set the stage. Before anything went wrong, we are looking at a place called Haven.
And a haven was, it was basically perfect.
Yeah, a peaceful, deeply prosperous valley kingdom ruled by a just and fair leader named Princess Argenta. Just imagine a pristine palace where the guards are loyal, the local dwarves trade freely, and daily life is structured.
Structured, predictable, and safe.
Right. It was, by all accounts, an idyllic fantasy realm.
Precisely. And that idyllic nature is what makes the inciting incident so catastrophic. The local dwarves were digging deep in their mines, and they uncovered a massive ruby, roughly the size of an apple.
A huge gem.
Yeah, and thinking it was just a magnificent gemstone, they brought it to the palace as a gift for the princess. They had no idea they were carrying the Eye of Eric,
Eric being...
an ancient, malevolent being of immense power. He was banished centuries ago to a desolate prison dimension. That beautiful ruby was essentially his foothold back into this reality.
And the moment that Ruby crossed the threshold into the palace, it was like a metaphysical bomb detonated. The source material describes a sudden freezing wind that swept through the valley.
Crops instantly withered and died in the fields.
A terrifying, pulsating red glow surrounded the palace walls. The kingdom wasn't just attacked, it was instantly and fundamentally corrupted from the inside out.
Which brings us to our analytical focus for today. We are examining a very specific slice of the fallout. Encounters 34 through 48 in the lower dungeon.
The dark underbelly.
Exactly. And as we navigate these spaces, I want you to keep one overarching theme in mind. Chaotic evil in this environment doesn't merely destroy.
Destruction is almost too simple.
It is. Instead, it subverts. It mocks the very concept of order, taking the familiar, comforting aspects of palace life and twisting them into grotesque parodies of themselves.
Okay, let's unpack this. We are pushing open the heavy wooden doors leading deep into the palace's lower levels.
Leaving the safe areas behind.
Right. The polished stone corridors give way to what used to be the main barracks for the palace guardsmen. Stepping inside, the air is stale.
You see rows of double bunk beds, and everything is in complete disarray.
And over on the eastern wall, near one of the overturned beds, there is a chilling environmental detail. Someone has used the point of a dagger to desperately scratch a message deep into the stone.
A final warning.
Yeah, it just says, "Beware of Travis."
It is such a striking piece of environmental storytelling. It instantly establishes a tone of internal betrayal and paranoia. It begs the question of who Travis is.
And why his own comrades were so terrified of him.
Exactly.
So who was Travis before the ruby arrived? Was he some sort of sleeper agent or a cruel enforcer?
Not at all.
Yeah.
That is the tragedy of it. Travis was just a poor, incredibly ordinary guardsman. He wasn't a villain, he was just a guy doing his job.
But then the ruby arrived.
Right. When the Eye of Eric was brought into the palace, the sheer psychic weight of that sudden chaotic evil just shattered his mind. The supernatural radiation of the ruby didn't just drive him insane.
It inverted his moral compass.
Completely inverted it to serve the chaos.
The immediate brutal result of that psychological break is found right next door in the guard captain's quarters. Pushing past the splintered door, the room is a scene of absolute violence.
A wooden footlocker smashed to pieces.
The bed covers are soaked in dark stains, and the floor is completely blanketed in scattered weekly troop reports. Travis murdered his own commanding officer in cold blood.
And this is where that mockery of order really begins to manifest. Travis doesn't just go on a mindless killing spree and wander off into the wilderness.
Right. He stays.
His fractured mind desperately clings to the bureaucratic hierarchy he used to be a part of, but it completely warps it.
Following a trail of those scattered papers down the hall, we find Travis's new office. He has dragged a massive, ornately carved wooden table into an empty room.
Just setting up shop in the dark.
Yeah, he sits there in the gloom with the candlestick and a feathered quill pen. He is pantomiming the role of his murdered captain, diligently filling out weekly troop reports. But there is a massive dark joke at the center of this.
He is aggressively scribbling on parchment, but Travis doesn't actually know how to write.
No.
He is completely illiterate.
It's horrifying. He's just aggressively scratching meaningless, jagged lines onto the paper, completely oblivious to the fact that the palace has fallen to ruin around him.
He's acting out the mundane bureaucracy of a functioning guard unit in the middle of an apocalypse.
Which naturally leads to the question of who exactly he's writing these fictional reports about. If we investigate the old holding areas down the corridor, we find his troops.
And they aren't human.
No. Travis has taken command of a band of nocturnal orcs, the very monsters that invaded the palace after the curse took hold.
But he hasn't just allied with them.
He has forced these massive, brutal creatures to dress up in the palace guard uniforms.
I can't even imagine that visual.
Right. These hulking, monstrous creatures squeezed into the crisp, tailored uniforms of the human guards they likely helped slaughter.
The fabric must be tearing at the seams.
It's a terrifying stage play directed by a madman.
What's fascinating here is how the Ruby's corruption extends beyond just the human psychology, twisting even the most innocent aspects of Travis's former life. Before the disaster, Travis had a pet dog.
Oh, this part is so sad.
It is. When Travis's mind broke, the dog wasn't spared. The magical fallout physically mutated the animal into a wild-eyed, chaotic beast.
And this mutated wolf is waiting in Travis's actual bedroom. It's completely feral to everyone in the world except for Travis.
The text notes that this beast will hear approaching footsteps and wait in dead silence, ready to ambush anyone who turns the door handle.
It is a complete, tragic inversion of the loyal man's best friend trope. It will fight to the death to protect its corrupted master.
So, what does a confrontation with this feral middle manager actually look like?
It is intense. When Travis finally bursts out to confront intruders, he is still wearing his official palace guard uniform, but he has strapped heavy steel plate armor over the top of it.
Just a mess of metal and fabric.
Yeah, and he charges in screaming at the top of his lungs about thieves trying to steal his treasure. And he doesn't just swing a sword, he starts the fight by hurling a magically enhanced dagger.
A +2 throwing dagger, if I recall.
Exactly. It's enchanted to strike with unnatural accuracy and lethal force, making him incredibly dangerous before anyone can even close the distance.
And the treasure he is so paranoid about protecting. It isn't a dragon's hoard.
Yeah.
If you survive the encounter and search beneath the loose stone under his straw bed, you find a small wooden case. Inside are 2 sapphires, a massive emerald, and a gold ring etched with the initials DB.
Hold on, if he was just a poor guardsman, where did he get jewels and a monogrammed gold ring?
He looted them from his own friends. After the Eye of Eric petrified the other guardsmen, turned them to solid stone, Travis went through their pockets.
Wow.
The tragedy of that loot is that it's the personal property of the men he used to share a barracks with.
That is deeply chilling. It really grounds the horror in something human.
It does.
Leaving the tragic, structured madness of Travis's domain, the environment shifts dramatically. The polished flagstones end, replaced by rough-hewn rock, damp air, and the echo of dripping water.
We are transitioning into the subterranean caverns.
Right.
This transition marks a fundamental shift in the type of threats present. We are moving from the corruption of humanity and structured society into the corruption of nature itself.
The first thing that hits you in the caverns is a row of rusted iron jail cells. But pacing the aisles between these cages are 2 massive, aggressive white apes.
They beat their chests and roar into the echoing dark.
But the real horror is inside the cells. Behind the bars are statues of men dressed in everyday civilian clothing.
These are more victims of the Ruby's petrification curse. Innocent people frozen in moments of pure terror.
And it is worth noting the lingering influence of our insane guard here. Travis actually used one of these monster-guarded cells to hide a heavy wooden chest containing the palace guard's payroll.
Thousands of copper, silver, and gold pieces.
He is literally utilizing the dungeon's apex predators as his personal bank security.
Moving deeper into the dark, the nightmare escalates in what is known as the Cave of the Statues. When the metaphysical bomb went off, a huge portion of the palace staff was turned to solid stone.
And the invading goblins and orcs have been using this massive cavern as a macabre dumping ground.
They have stripped away all dignity from the citizens of Haven. The petrified bakers, diplomats, and servants are treated like unwanted furniture.
They are piled haphazardly in corners, leaning against damp walls or stacked like cordwood.
It's a horrific image.
Here's where it gets really interesting and morbid. Somewhere at the bottom of this horrifying pile of human statues is a hidden chest containing an enchanted sword, a vital weapon for surviving the dungeon.
But to get it,
You have to spend several agonizing minutes physically digging through the frozen, terrified bodies of the innocent.
it is a brilliant piece of design. It forces the participants to engage directly and physically with the tragedy of the setting to gain a mechanical advantage.
Yeah.
You cannot just walk past the victim.
You have to climb over them to find the tools to avenge them.
Exactly. And speaking of the environment working against you, the deeper caverns highlight how the local flora and fauna have been weaponized.
Stepping into the fungus cave, the air grows thick and musty. The space is filled with shattered clay pots that once held beautiful, cultivated palace plants.
Now everything is dead and withered, replaced by a vibrant, pulsing yellow mold covering the walls.
This mold is a lethal environmental hazard. It quietly eats through organic material like wood and leather. But its real danger is defensive.
If you brush against it or disturb the air too violently near it, the mold forcefully erupts.
Violently ejecting a massive cloud of choking spores into the air. And if you inhale those spores, it isn't just a coughing fit. The biological reaction is immediate and severe.
The spores rapidly expand in the lungs, suffocating a person in a matter of moments.
It's a brutal, silent trap made of pure biology. But if you think the silent mold is bad, the next cavern is an assault on the senses.
The Cave of the Locusts. It is a massive, domed cavern lit entirely by the eerie, bioluminescent blue glow of subterranean moss clinging to the stalactites.
Wait, so we enter this glowing blue cave. What exactly is living in here? Because giant bugs are usually just mindless fodder in these scenarios.
They are giant, 3-foot-long, gray grasshoppers. Cave locusts. Under normal circumstances, they are skittish. Their first instinct is to flee, powerfully leaping dozens of feet into the air to escape.
So they aren't naturally aggressive.
The danger usually only comes from being accidentally battered as they panic. But if you corner them in the dark,
Right, the source material is incredibly specific about this. They have a deeply unpleasant defense mechanism. If they feel trapped, they don't just bite.
they forcefully spit a gooey, dark brown substance at their attackers from several feet away.
And the smell of the spittle is so intensely horrific, so fundamentally foul, that it renders anyone it hits completely incapacitated. You are violently ill, doubling over, unable to swing a sword or cast a spell.
It is biological warfare, pure and simple. And the lingering odor is so bad that even after the initial victim recovers their senses, anyone who steps within a few feet of them will also become violently nauseated until the sludge is scrubbed away.
It's disgusting, but it forces you to think tactically about positioning an environment rather than just rushing in with a sword.
And nestled within this nauseating, hostile cave is a crucial piece of the overarching puzzle.
Tucked away in a small stone niche along the wall is a tiny, beautifully crafted silver statuette of a dragon.
That statuette is vitally important lore made manifest. It represents Eriksbane, the legendary white dragon steed of an ancient hero.
The history of the world dictates that Eriksbane's frost breath possesses the unique magical resonance required to shatter the ruby eye of Erik.
Without harming anyone trapped near it, finding these statuettes in the dark is literally gathering the ammunition needed to save the kingdom.
I love how the designers hide the key to salvation in the most repulsive, bug-infested corner of the dungeon. It rewards the people who are willing to push through the discomfort.
Absolutely.
Moving deeper, the environmental hazards just keep getting stranger. We round a bend and step into the cave pool.
Immediately, a hot wind blows over you.
The air is incredibly humid, causing sweat and condensation to instantly form on your skin. And dominating the room is a large pool of completely pitch black liquid.
At the far end of this dark pool stands a life-sized bronze statue of a crowned king with glittering ruby eyes.
But to reach it, you have to deal with the water. And the underlying geology of this specific cavern is remarkably detailed.
It's not just murky dungeon water.
No, it's an intricate natural trap. Geothermal hot springs feed into this cavern. As the boiling water bubbles up, it dissolves and absorbs a very specific rare mineral that lines the bedrock of the pool.
The resulting chemical mixture creates a deep, vibrant, and incredibly potent purple dye.
And this dye is permanent. If you slip and fall in or even try to wade across your skin, your clothes, your leather armor, all of it is instantly stained. a deep royal purple.
It absolutely will not wash off with water or soap.
It simply has to wear away naturally over weeks. It won't ruin steel, but anything porous is permanently marked. It is such a brilliant, non-lethal trap that leaves a lasting visual scar on the journey.
And yet, if you brave the staining waters and reach the bronze statue, you are presented with a choice. The ruby eyes can be pried out for a quick payday, but the real reward requires careful observation of the statue itself.
Exactly. If you ignore the obvious jewels and examine the craftsmanship, you realize the bronze head is threaded. It can actually be unscrewed.
Inside the hollow neck, carefully packed in a waterproof oilskin bag to protect it from the ruinous purple dye, is an enchanted ring that magically deflects incoming attacks. A ring of protection +1.
Notice the rhythm the designers are establishing here. The tragic statues, the suffocating mold, the nauseating locusts, the staining pool.
It is a cycle of natural environmental danger followed by hidden rewards. It always demands that you interact deeply with a corrupted ecosystem.
But just when you get used to that rhythm, the dungeon pulls the rug out from under you. Right after the hot springs, you hit a sudden jarring transition back to mechanical cruelty.
Rounding a sharp corner in the stone corridor, a hidden pressure plate depresses underfoot.
Instantly, a heavy, weighted steel blade, exactly like a guillotine, drops straight down from the ceiling shadows.
It is a brutal mechanical shock right after a series of organic threats.
Yeah.
And the moment the blade drops, it thrusts you directly into the territory of the troglodytes.
Stepping past the trap, your path is blocked by 3 highly intelligent bipedal reptiles. They are roughly human-sized, with long legs, short muscular tails, and spiny crests running down their heads and arms.
They have the chameleon-like ability to shift the color of their scales to blend perfectly into the damp stone walls, waiting in ambush.
And here we see a terrifying escalation of the biological warfare theme introduced by the locusts. The troglodytes don't just rely on camouflage and claws.
No, when they engage in combat, their bodies secrete a thick, oily sweat.
And the stench of this oil is so viscerally repulsive that it physically weakens anyone trying to fight them hand to hand. The odor causes intense dizziness and nausea, slowing your reflexes and making it incredibly difficult to land a solid blow.
The dungeon is literally assaulting your immune system. It creates a fully realized, cohesive, underground ecology.
The threats aren't just trying to deplete your vitality, they are actively assaulting your senses and your ability to function.
Which finally brings us to the climax of this entire level. After surviving the apes, the mole, the bugs, and the reptiles, you climb a set of stairs into the watchroom.
This chamber sits higher up in the rock face, featuring narrow windows that look out to the west and south. Through those windows, you get a stark, sweeping view of the surrounding Haven countryside,
which is still suffocating under the terrifying, expanding red glow of the ruby.
In the center of this room sits a heavy iron ladder leading up to a reinforced trapdoor in the ceiling. This is a massive structural choke point. That trapdoor is the single, solitary path to reach the second level of the dungeon.
If you fail to find this specific room, your journey simply ends in the dark.
But there is one final tragic detail before you climb that ladder. Leaning against the southern wall is a statue of a man in ornate robes. It is the chief cleric of the palace.
And the posture of this petrified figure tells a heartbreaking story. He is frozen in a pose of absolute terror, his hand still clutching a sharp stone, having just finished frantically scratching a message into the wall.
He was a man of deep faith and foresight. He had divined the apocalyptic intent of Eric in the exact moments the disaster was unfolding.
Knowing he was doomed, he hurriedly carved an inscription. It was a desperate, final act of defiance.
Leaving a set of clues in the faint, dying hope that someone, someday, might come to rescue his people.
The inscription is a cryptic poem scratched into the cold rock.
It reads, "Evil red-eye, malefaction, sweet music from strings, priceless blade of destruction, salvation rides on dragon's wings."
If we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
this is far more than just dramatic flavor text to set the mood. This poem is the literal instruction manual for the entire adventure. The dying cleric is handing you the blueprint to save the kingdom.
Break that blueprint down for us. What do those lines actually mean in practice?
The evil red eye, malefaction, is clearly identifying the core threat, the ruby eye of Eric.
Right.
The next 3 lines offer 3 distinct methods to destroy it. Sweet music from strings refers to an ancient artifact called the ice harp, an instrument that, if played with the correct resonance, can shatter the gem.
Okay.
The priceless blade of destruction points toward the sword of Eric, A corrupted ruby blade currently being used by the villains, which can be stolen and turned against the Eye.
And the last line.
Salvation rides on dragon's wings explicitly refers to the silver statuettes of Eric's Bane, like the one hidden amidst the spitting locusts, which can be used to summon the white dragon's frost breath.
So what does this all mean? For the people exploring this space, it means the architects of this scenario are testing you.
They are testing whether you are actually paying attention to the lore, reading the environment, and synthesizing narrative history into literal survival tools.
If you treat this just as a sequence of doors to kick down and monsters to slay, you will reach the end and have absolutely no idea how to stop the evil.
It is a masterful bridge between story and survival. The world itself is desperately trying to whisper the secrets of its own salvation to you, even as its corrupted elements try to kill you.
And that profound realization brings us to the end of Dungeon Level 1. What an incredible, harrowing journey.
Truly.
We started by exploring the tragic, bureaucratic madness of Travis the illiterate guard, fending off his mutated pet wolf and his pantomiming orc soldiers.
We waded through damp caverns, digging through the petrified bodies of innocent bakers and diplomats.
We survived choking mold, nauseating locust spit, and permanent purple ink. And we ended by looking out a high window at a ruined world, decoding a desperate poem left by a dying cleric.
It is a remarkably dense, meticulously designed sequence. It refuses to let you be a passive observer. It forces you to physically and emotionally engage with the tragedy of the ruined space.
And you know, for you listening right now, I think there is a deeply resonant connection to be made to our modern lives. Think about the concept of Haven before the fall, and then think about Travis.
The man doing paperwork in the apocalypse.
Exactly. How often do we encounter systems, workplaces, or digital environments that have been slowly, quietly corrupted over time? Places where the original beneficial purpose has been completely lost, but the people inside, just like Travis, don't even realize the shift has happened.
They just keep filling out the metaphorical paperwork.
They keep aggressively defending a system that is fundamentally broken, playing a twisted version of a role that no longer serves any good.
This raises an important question.
Let's hear it.
The real lingering horror of the Eye of Eric isn't the giant spitting bugs, or the falling guillotine blades, or the nauseating reptile sweats.
As bad as those are.
Right. It is the terrifying fact that it took inherently good, mundane things. A loyal palace guard, a beloved pet dog, the cultivated plants, the structured hierarchy of a society, and it violently inverted their nature to serve chaos.
Oh.
The true monsters in this dungeon were not born in the dark. They were made from the familiar. They were trusted, everyday things, quietly twisted into nightmares. So I want to leave you with this final thought to mull over as you go about your way.
Okay.
What familiar things in our own lives, in our daily information diets, in the social systems we interact with every single day, are being quietly twisted right in front of us? What corrupted systems are we aggressively defending simply because they are still wearing the familiar uniform of something we used to trust?
That is a heavy, incredibly perfect note to end on. To you, our learner, thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of the Palace of the Silver Princess.
Keep questioning.
Always. Remember to question the familiar, always check the uniforms of the information you consume, and as always, keep digging deeper. We will catch you on the next deep dive.